Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Welcome. This is Indie Beacon Radio, and this is your host, Beyond Bourgeois. I almost forgot my name there. And we have with us Carol Rowland, who has written several books that involve, for the most part, a deaf kitty. But she's got a new one coming out. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So, Carol, let's start with why a deaf kitty?
Well, it started out that I had this adorable kitten, and I found out he was deaf. I took several pictures, and friends kind of went, we're seeing too many photos, so I opened his own page. Next thing I know, I have 10,000 fans following my cat. As I started looking at the pictures, I realized they told these wonderful stories. I've always been a creative person, and so I started putting them together, and it just kind of fell into place.
Okay, so you have lots of stories. Which one was the first one?
The first one that I wrote was, there's a new dog in town. And after I wrote it, I realized there needed to be a prequel that introduced how he became the Feline Park Inspector. So then I went back and wrote Kitten Needs a Home.
Okay, so with the first one, you started with that one. And so give us just briefly a summary of what the story is about.
Well, Boo has his full uniform on, and he goes out into Friendship Park and finds a doggy bag. Well, of course, that's against the rules to leave trash of any sort inside the park, but he doesn't know who to tell the mayor actually left the doggy bag. So he has to investigate and find out if anyone saw. Eventually, he makes it back to finding out that a family got a new dog and they didn't understand the rules. So he talks to the dog, and the dog just can't understand. Well, it is not Boo's job to be a hero and to fix everything. It's his job to tell the bear everything he knows. So he goes back, he tells the mayor, and is fully content that the mayor is going to handle the situation. In the end, he sits back with his friends, and his friends ask about if the dog's mean. And he says, no, the dog just has a job to protect his yard. So it's just a cute little story. It does teach a little bit about litter and just basically how things work.
Now you have, in most of your stories, if I remember correctly, they're all about helping kids learn how to deal with situations, and when it's too big for them, to go to an adult or somebody in charge to have them work on that. Why did you choose to do that?
Because so many stories tell the kids to be a hero. Well, most of the time, your job doesn't have you being the hero. You're supposed to do what you're told, and there's someone else who's supposed to handle the big things. Kids should be able to relax, be children, and be comfortable knowing that the adults are going to handle the big problems.
Now, in the inspector, what made you come up with the inspector aspect? I mean, for a cat to be an inspector is, well, I mean, it has happened.
It was this photo. This photo went online, and someone said, I feel like I've done something wrong. Everybody took a look and went, he looks like he's a figure of authority. And so the Feline Park Inspector was born.
Okay. And what made you dress him up that way? Was it just out of fun for a day or what?
Well, he wears the hats because he has very light, sensitive eyes. And because whenever cats are out in public, they feel most comfortable if they're under a table or under a bush. So whenever he has his wide brim on, he always feels like he's very secure. He's not distracted by birds and things like that, and it helps to protect his eyes. So that's how the hat started. I figured if he had a hat, I'll put a little tie on it and just make it a full outfit. Just something fun. But it kind of took off.
I can imagine, and I'm sure the people in your community love seeing him like that too.
Oh, yes. And it's grown to where he has raincoats and all kinds of different outfits. His fans send him various things, and I try to use what I can in his books and on his web pages.
Now, for a cat, what I remember when I was young having cats around me, they're not very cooperative on getting dressed. So how do you manage this one?
Boo is actually a very unique cat. He wants to please mama. He will do just about anything I ask of him. And he knows that getting dressed means he gets to go out and do something fun. Because he's deaf, he's not afraid to go and join a crowd or go to a music festival. In fact, he really desires to go and do something extra to get some visual stimulation. He needs that little something to occupy his mind because he can't hear like a normal cat can.
Now, has his deafness hurt him in any way or caused any damage or injuries?
No, it just makes him more curious. Makes him a little bit more rambunctious as a kitten, but now that he's getting older, he's a little calmer. And I can't really let him go and walk the neighborhood, so we have taken the time to completely cat-proof our yard, put up a radio fence that has a vibrating collar whenever he gets near the fence, and this way he gets to pretend that he's a normal cat running around, but I always know he's safe.
Okay. So let's go on with the books. After the inspector, what's the next one?
All right. The next one that I'm about to release?
The next one in the storyline.
Ah, yes. Well, this one here is Rainy Day in the Park. And with Rainy Day in the Park, he takes a look around and he sees all the litter. And he has to go and find out where the litter's coming from because it's raining. Nobody is out in the park. He eventually finds out that it's flying out of cars and things, and he has to go back and talk to the mayor.
Now, is the mayor a cat too, or is he something else?
The mayor of Tudortown has Boo in charge of Friendship Park. The mayor is just a normal man, and he talks to Boo, and of course, Boo reads lips and watches hand signals, and Mama translates for him.
Okay. Have you ever had to bite your tongue when you translate?
No, of course, these are children's books, so everything is always nice and sweet.
All righty. So after the park, then what's the next one? The rainy park.
All right. That's whenever I had to go and write Kitten Finds a Home. And this is where we find out how he actually became the Feline Park Inspector. This was a little harder to write, and that's why it took more time, because I wanted to touch a very sensitive subject, and that is finding a kitten dumped in the park. Many kids might have relatives that have done this, and though it's not a good thing, we don't want them turning against their family and having major issues. So we explained that some people just don't understand that a kitten can't take care of itself, and they have to learn better. So he finds the kitten. He's afraid to take it to the shelter because someone told him that shelters make kittens sleep forever. And he doesn't want to hurt the kitten. He also doesn't want the kitten to be alone in a cage. So he goes and he talks to all of his friends. One of his friends is a feral kitty, and the feral cat tells him, no, take him to a shelter. This way he can find himself a loving home. Another friend grew up in the shelter and found a good home. And she tells him, no, you need to go look for yourself because it's not as bad as you think it is. So when Boo goes and takes a look, he finds out that it's good people and they're able to keep all the kittens healthy until they find good homes because people donate. So Boo goes home and gets his toys and his extra treats and gets his new little friend and takes everything to the shelter so that he can donate and help to make things all better and his friend can get a home.
And does his friend get a home?
We assume so. We don't stick around in the book and wait for the adoption day.
So that sounds like a continuation of the story could happen in another book.
It could, but I want children just to feel comfortable that they put the kitten into the shelter and someone else is going to take care of it. Once again, it's so that kids don't feel like they have to have the final say. They don't have to be the hero. Sometimes being the star of the show, sometimes it's just doing the best that you can do. You don't have to be the one that found the good home.
Yeah. All right. So after that one, what's the next one?
All right. After that, we did What is Christmas? Now, I had a lot of fun with this one because a cat doesn't think of Christmas the way a human would. It's not about religion. All a cat sees is decorations and Santa Claus and gifts. So when we first talked to his friends think Christmas must be a celebration of toys and shiny things. So he thinks it might be something a little more, and maybe it's related to this Santa Claus fellow. So he goes around town looking for Santa Claus, and he can't find Santa Claus anywhere. So he finally goes home, and he and Mama are putting up the decorations, and he realizes what Christmas is really all about. It's about spending time with those that we love. So the following day, Mama helps him to throw a big party for all of his friends and to take presents to all his friends around town and make sure that everybody is having a happy, wonderful Christmas.
That's perfect. And also a perfect time for us to stop and allow our sponsors to do their thing, and we'll be right back.
Hello, I am the author and poet Denise Bryson. I am the author of The Things That Cross My Mind, Love's Reality, both in book and audio form. I am also noted as one of the best poets of 2011. I have two new projects coming up. One is the Blinky series, where Blinky tells us all about our coins and our bills for our children. I also have a book coming out called Say Ye. It's quotes from Denise Bryson, just inspirational and that will help you along the way.
Tom Gromes, father of market intelligence, writing business books that are a game changer. International author of nonfiction, has written the first and only books on the collapse of Russia and the first and only book on market intelligence. Check them out at mkintel.org. That's mkintel.org, mkintel.org.
I am Grace Allison Blair, an award-winning author, motivational speaker, and modern mystic. I have combined spiritual and psychological principles in my nonfiction self-help books under Grace Allison and fiction books under Grace Blair. Go to modernmysticmedia.com to find Do You Have a Dream? 5 Keys to Realize Your Dream, and my novel, Einstein's Compass, a YA time traveler adventure.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
And welcome back. This is your host, Beyond Bourgeois. You are listening or watching Indie Beacon Radio and/or our news station, which I couldn't say it, is the Indie Authors TV channel on Roku and Amazon Fire. So we appreciate you being with us, and we have with us Carol Rowland, who has written books about Boo, the deaf kitty. In the first segment, we talked about the first 4 books, but she's got 3 more. One of them is a coloring book. Tell us about that one.
All right. Because it is a children's book series, I wanted something the children could interact with. And I have been creative most of my life, so I created the coloring book. And each of the pictures are taken from one of the pictures that you can find on boothedeafkitty.com. Photographs Boo has actually taken wearing the clothes and outfits. But, of course, Boo is a white kitty, So imagine what color you would want Boo to be, because Boo loves color.
Great. And you mentioned the photographs, and I wanted to touch on that. You have a lot of photographs of Boo, not only dressed up, but out in the world. So how do you find time to be doing those, and what's the motivation for those particular pictures?
Well, a lot of Boo's photos are just us playing in the backyard. I have a beautiful backyard with gardens and flowers and a little pond. And so I allow the cats to get out and play and have some supervised time out in the sun. I bring my camera and we just have a good time.
Great.
Of course, anytime there's a festival in Dallas, Texas, and of course there's a lot of them, we pull out the stroller and go have a little fun and let him meet the people.
Cool. And does the stroller have his namesake on it? You know, Boo the Deaf Kitty, you know, and stuff like that. Because like you have a poster next to it that says, "Come meet Boo the Deaf Kitty." Is the stroller decked out in that way?
I usually deck it out for the occasion, but we've just recently gotten a double stroller because Boo is about to get a junior Feline Park Inspector.
And that is a book that's coming out. So
Yes.
let's learn about it.
Well, Boo has recently acquired a little sister. And of course, there's lots of photos just waiting to be made into a book. So I will be putting together where Boo doesn't think he needs an assistant. But once she's there, of course, she's going to be a big help to him because she thinks a little differently than he does. Where Boo is your perfect mama's boy who never does anything wrong, Bug is just a little bit more aggressive. If she sees something, she wants to go and get it. She wants to fix everything herself and be the hero. And Boo has to slow her down and teach her that sometimes it's okay to just be a kitten.
So out of curiosity, since Boo is deaf and also sensitive on the eyes, what abilities does the new kitten have, or does she?
She has green eyes, but she is deaf. So she doesn't have the same light sensitivity, but I will be introducing her to the hats and the bonnets and things like that. Not just for the books, but also because as a white cat, she'll sunburn very easily. And that's why I only have to put the sunscreen on the ears and not have to worry about the nose and all the sensitive areas.
Wonderful. And is there, I think you were looking at 2020 for a year to maybe have a book for her?
Yes. I'm hoping to have it out in time for Christmas, but I'm not going to make any promises that it will be. It's just, I got to hope I can make it that quickly.
Yeah, because each cat is different, has their own personality, so she may be a little slower. So
Yes.
not a problem. And you have a book of poems, and so tell us about that.
All right. Now, many of Boo's fans are adults. They love to see his photographs every day and his adventures about town. So I did put together a small book for the grown-ups. And it's just a simple little poem book in which Boo is dressed in angel wings all the way through it. It's actually a fairly short poem. Each page only has a line on it. But it's been one of my best sellers. People use it for if someone's in the hospital, elderly, that just need a little reminder that our cats are there to actually help us, to lift up all of our problems and help us deal with life a little bit better.
Nice. And is there any other book, or do we get them all?
My final book is the nap time book. Many of the parents wanted something that didn't make the children want to go out and play in the park so much. So we have the perfect nap. Boo goes from place to place throughout the house and the yard, trying all of his favorite nap spots, and he just can't get comfortable until at the very end he finds out what makes the perfect nap. Mama.
All right. All right, so you've got all these books, including the one that you're hoping to have done in 2020. What else are you writing?
Well, My newest book that's about to be released, I'm just working on the illustrations now, is about a little rabbit that meets the spirit of Christmas. He sneaks aboard the sleigh and finds himself whisked away to some place he has no idea where he's at. And the spirit of Christmas tells him about the magic of the season and gives the little rabbit a gift. Turns out the gift that he gives is that now the little rabbit is the spirit of spring. So it's kind of like an introduction to the Easter Bunny, but it doesn't really go into religion. It's more about heart and the spirit of things. The spirit of spring brings about flowers, tells how every seed, every little flower bulb, every egg is a surprise inside. A treasure given to each one of us, no matter how old we are or how young we are.
Great. And when are you anticipating having that one ready?
It just depends on how fast I can get all the illustrations done. I hope to have it out just before Christmas so that people can start thinking about buying it somewhere in between Christmas and spring.
Okay. We have just a couple minutes left of this segment. I want to touch on something we've not discussed. Now, being a writer, this is really important. You have, if I'm correct in saying this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you still have I can't even say the word, dyslexia.
Yes.
Learned about it, how to work with that, because it is something that's always with you. It's not something you can ever get rid of, but you have to learn how to deal with that. Is that correct?
Yes, very much so. I do have to double check all spelling, all punctuation. I'm continuously going back and taking a good look to make sure I don't have things mixed up. But it's also part of what makes me want to write for children is to encourage them to read, because I never read whenever I was a child.
Because of that issue, it was hard for you to do so. And which also brings up then the other questions too, which is you went to a special school to help learn that and stuff. And from that, you then learned how to be a at-home mother school teacher as well, correct?
Correct.
And so you taught your kids at home, and that must have gone on for quite some time because they are full grown now.
Exactly.
Did you create any stories along that line or plan on creating stories along that?
I hadn't really thought of it because homeschooling really should be a choice that each individual makes. My children had their own learning disabilities as well as a few social issues with school. So it was really the best for them to come home and learn how to do things in the privacy of their home. I don't want to encourage that unless someone has those circumstances. I can understand where public school has its benefits, has all the social activities. I tried my best to get the kids involved in everything in the community I possibly could, and my kids did come out very well rounded. But it was hard work, and I want every parent to make their own decisions on that.
Yeah, most definitely, because each child is different in their own respects. So you want kids to read.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so what else are you planning down the road as far as helping inspire that?
Well, I really haven't thought too much on it. I'm kind of going day by day, seeing what I can do. I've only recently joined the Texas Authors Group and the Children's Book Society. I know it's several letters.
Right. Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators.
That was it. But so I've only recently started joining the organizations and stepping outside my own backyard.
Your comfort zone.
Yes. As
Right.
most writers are a little bit more comfortable at home, but I don't mind stepping out and letting the world meet Boo and just try to get the kids excited.
Perfect. With that, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back after our sponsors.
National Authors Day is November 2nd, 2019. This annual event is getting a fresh look with a parade that starts at the Texas State Capitol and works its way south down Congress Avenue. Join us as we celebrate the joy of being a published author and the joy of reading. For more information about the parade, merchandise, and other events related to this event, please visit our website at authors.dearindy.org.
What would you do if you found out everyone on the town council were thieves and murderers? That's what happened in Bandera, Texas in 1873. John Cruder was the marshal, yet he needed to operate outside the law in order to balance the scales of justice. He is the Midnight Marauder. You can find his books on Amazon.com and TopWesterns.com in paperback, digital, and audio. I'm Roy Clinton, and I hope you'll read The Midnight Marauder.
Thank you for watching or listening to this show. Indie Lector is proud to sponsor this programming. As a thank you for listening or watching, we would like to give you a 10% coupon code that you can use on our bookstore at indielector.store. Use coupon code video19. Again, that's indielector.store, coupon code video19 for a 10% discount on any purchase. Thank you.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
And welcome back. This is your host, Beyond Bourgeois. We have with us Carol Rowland, who has written about Boo. She's holding Boo there. Say hi, Boo. Boo the Deaf Kitty, who has several books. Very curious to know what's going on. I can tell. It's like, I want to be on camera too. Oh, not anymore. I spooked him.
Always something to be curious about.
Yes. So you mentioned earlier that Boo has his own Facebook page, correct?
Correct.
So does he have his own website?
Yes, there is boothedeafkitty.com. I'm in the process of upgrading it because we have lots of different products available. And now with more books and, of course, there's lots and lots of pictures. So
Now his sister.
yes, now his sister, so she will need her own section so that everyone can learn a little bit more about her. And of course, he does have two hearing sisters that also make appearances in the books.
What is the Facebook page?
It is boothedeafkitty.com.
Okay, that's your website, and Boo the Deaf Kitty Facebook, correct?
Boo the Deaf Kitty and Friends is on Facebook.
And friends.
On Instagram is Boo the Deaf Kitty and Bug.
Okay.
And I think it's just Boo the Deaf Kitty for Twitter.
All right. On either the Facebook or your website, do you announce when he's going to be out and about, different events and stuff?
Unless it's something that we just woke up that morning and decided to run off to, we do try to let people know whenever he's doing book signings. We try to let people know if he's scheduled to be someplace. This way, people have the option. I've had a few people that have driven up to 5 and 6 hours just to come and meet Boo.
Wow. He is a celebrity. Right. And so we're towards the end of the show. Do you have any words of encouragement or anything you'd like to share with people who might be interested in writing?
I really don't know. I guess just put your heart into it. Write about what you feel. Think about who your audience is and what you want them to get out of it.
Okay. That's a perfect place to end. I thank you very much for being with us. And again, thank you, Boo, for that guest appearance. I appreciate that. And we will hopefully see you out and about with Boo and also the new kitty as well sometime soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website at indiebeacon.com.